feedback if we don't keep our mics off. So we're hoping All right, welcome everybody to this live stream meeting of the Standards Committee. I am Ruth Jeffrey, the Independent Chair of the Standards Committee. This meeting is open to the public and is being streamed live to YouTube and via the council website. It is also being recorded for the purpose of the minutes. If for any reason the public can no longer hear or see the meeting over the live stream, we will adjourn until the connection has been re-established. Can I remind members of the meeting etiquette that has been circulated and produced that apply for remote absentees? All members should have their microphones muted and cameras turned on. Members are reminded that you must remain on camera throughout the meeting and ensure you are alone in the room. Before we start, I would like to confirm which committee members and officers are present, and can the facilitator please confirm the members and officers present, please?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, we've obviously got yourself today, the Chair, Ruth Jaffray, and then we have councillors Deborah Watson, Clive Moseby, Councillor David Downs, Councillor Tricia Clough, Councillor Andrew Josbury for the committee members. And today for the officers, we've got Sarah Sternberg, the monitoring officer, and then we've also got Kevin Shillitoe, Victoria Dawson, Lisa Ingram, and Alison Bluff and myself from the governance team.
Right, can I go on to the agenda? The first item being apologies for absence. Please, any apologies?
Received any, Chair? None received.
Can I just say that it's, in view of what's just been said about ensuring nobody else is in the room and leaving your cameras on at all times, my son will come home from school just after 3 o'clock. At that point, if you prefer, I will absent myself because I cannot guarantee that he won't be in the room. He lives here.
Well, hopefully we should finish by then, but we will take that into consideration. Thank you very much for letting us know.
Thanks.
Are there no other apologies? Right, can we go on to item number 2? The second item is the urgent business. Is there any urgent business for today's agenda? No?
Not aware of any urgent items, Chair.
Right, thank you. Right, item number 3 is the declaration of interest. Have we received any declarations in advance of this meeting?
I've not received any, Chair.
Right. Do any of the members have any interest to declare? Right. Right, item number 4, minutes of this Standards meeting, which was held on the 28th of September 2020. We now have the minutes of our meeting held on the minutes on the 28th of September. These start on page 1. So you should have all received your copies in the post. Is everybody happy that they are a correct record? We go through them page by page. Page 1. Page 2, page 3, page 4, page 5, page 6, page 7, page 8, page 9, page 10, page 11. Are you happy with that they are a correct record of the last meeting? That was what meeting held on the 28th of September 2020?
I'll move that they've been noted, Chair.
Yeah, could we include page 12 in that, please?
Sorry, I
I think you missed that, Ruth.
Can we just check that page 12? We're all happy with that one as well. Sorry about that. Right. Can I have a seconder then, please?
I'll second it, Chair.
Right. All those in favour? All those against? Any abstentions? Then the motion has been carried. Right. Item number 5 is the minutes of the special committee that was held on the 19th of October 2020. These were also sent out in the post for our special meeting. Meeting. Find my copy.
Apologies, Chair. I just have to leave the room for one short minute.
Right.
Thank you, Chair.
Tricia's back. I'll move that they've been noted as a true record.
Right, then can I have a seconder then, please?
I'll second that.
All those in favour, please? All those against? Any abstentions? Then the motion has been carried. Right, item number 6, the council procedure rules and delegation scheme for the meeting held on the 2nd of July 2020. The monitoring officer will be sent to these matters. They are start on page 13.
Thank you, Chair. Before I begin, I've perhaps been a bit remiss. Can I introduce Kevin Shillito, whom I'm sure you all know anyway, but I've recently appointed him as another Deputy Monitoring Officer, so he will be attending our standards committees for the future. In terms of the report on page 13, if you remember, there was some confusion around whether these are being moved as part of the recommendation or resolution in July, and accordingly we brought them back to you so that you can approve them and they can go forward to council. There's nothing changed from what we presented in July, but it is still open to you, of course, to ask questions, etc. So it's a bit of a tidying exercise as well.
Councillor Mosley?
Yeah, it's only a procedural thing. It does say actually agenda item 5 on the report as such, but actually in the agenda it is listed as item 6. Maybe item 5 was when the original report came, so I don't know, but I don't just need to amend it. As regards the content of it, as Sarah says, I'll just quick scan through it. No problems with it at all, and quite happy to move the recommendation within it all. Thanks, Chair.
Can I just make clear, seeing as this came about because of a confusion, we have here both the council procedure rules and the delegation scheme. So you, Councillor Mosby, you moving both?
Yeah, no problems with either of them, Sarah.
Thank you.
Can I have a seconder, please?
I'll second that. Councillor Josbury.
All those in favour,
in any great detail. Just to point out, I think the key areas are in paragraph 1.4, and that the role is one which isn't a decision-making one, but one that facilitates engagement and discussion around a particular area. The recommendation at section 6 is that the committee make any observations that you wish about the roles or any comments that you wish to take into account. Unless there's any questions, Chair, there's not much else I can add.
Any questions, anybody? Yes, Councillor Mosby.
Yeah, it's not really a question. It's just, again, our agenda item's wrong. So I think they're all wrong all the way through.
Yeah.
Sorry, but I'm pleased Kevin's actually highlighted 1.4, because I think I know Councillor Josbury, was really in favour of this, and it's been going on for many months now. I think pre-COVID even at the end of the day, and I'm glad to see we've got it in there. And it's really, those bullet points under 1.4 that sets out the role, and I think it makes it very clear that the sort of what a member champion can and cannot do really at the end of the day. So there again, I'm quite happy to move recommendation at 6.1 on page 50, because I think it's covered everything with the couple of 3 meetings we've had, and we're actually going forward with it now. Would this be going to a council meeting or the annual council meeting, Sarah? Is that the next process in this, please?
It's certainly going to council meeting, because I think we should be adding it into the constitution as part of the job descriptions, as was said, for members. So yes, it will be going to council. We're hoping to do some sort of mid-year council report on the constitution, but it may be that it's actually the annual meeting when it comes to it.
Any more questions?
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Andrew Mosby.
Shrewsbury.
Sorry, I can't.
Right.
No, that's abbreviation.
Right. We originally brought this up because people were at a loss as to know who the member champions were for a start, and I still don't know how many there is and what roles they've got. I know there's an armed forces one, which is a post that I'm really interested in, but it was originally brought up because originally years ago the member champions were elected or put into place by the it was the Labour Party, because it was the Labour Party was the majority. It was the Labour Party that did it. I'd still be interested to know, are we going to elect these member champions, and how many there is and what they do? I've had no information as to some say. I know there's an armed forces one. I should imagine there's one for children or whatever, but I still don't know how many there is, and are we going to elect them?
Right. If I may, Chair.
Yes, you may.
I can't give you the numbers or what they're for exactly at this point in time, but my aim was to, whenever it goes to council, to list them. As in terms of what they do, this is setting out what they do. It is a very generalised role. It's about promotion of that particular area. So armed forces, about promoting the relationship with the armed forces, etc., and participating where possible, but obviously not decision making. In terms of how they're put in place, my experience is they're generally put in place through council meetings, through members deciding they want a member champion. And that's what I would expect to see. They're not elected behind the scenes. They are decided upon in formal meetings, because they are member champions of the council, and not, any particular party or whatever.
Can I just answer that? They used to be. The Labour Party used to elect their own champions, because that's probably because, but in the years that I've been a councillor, it's never come to council to elect any member champions. They're already elected, because I can remember Brian Murray Carr was the armed forces member champion, and nobody knew it. When I asked who it was, nobody knew who it was. Right, so I don't know where, but it's never been to council to be to like anybody vote on who's going to be the specific member champion.
Can I?
I'm going to say, if I could come in, I mean, I suppose that may well have been the case in it all, because I can't remember when it all started off. But I think when we look at, what it's saying now within the body of the report, it's all, at 1.2, it says all member champions will have an allocated responsibility agreed at council on an annual basis, or when changes arise. So to me, I'd interpret that, each individual party, they could put a champion forward, and then we'd sort out what happened at the council meeting, and everybody'd obviously get to know then together with the areas that we're looking at. So I would follow Sarah's view on that it should go to council, and that it should be, agreed at annual council, or maybe at other council meetings should one crop up during that sort of civic year.
I agree completely with Clive that it should go to council. I think we could do with a list of what they are before it actually goes. So each individual party can put forward a member to be a member champion. So we could do it with it before it goes to council. The list that you're on about, Sarah, if that's okay.
Yeah, we can put a list together, but for that period of time, just as we do with all the committees and everything for the annual meeting. The only problem is these will crop up from time to time through the year. And so you will get ad hoc ones on agendas, because it's meant to be that, informal is the wrong word, but that fluid. And can I just point out that I don't recall us ever having member champions of the council in the past. Whatever has been done within particular political groups, I don't recall there ever being a member champion of the council up until the recent couple of years when these have started to appear.
Any more questions, anybody? Right, can I have somebody move this motion, please?
I'm happy to move it if nobody else is saying it. Yeah, I'm happy along the lines that we've outlined and are contained within the report at section 6.1 on page 50. Thank you.
I'm happy to second that, Councillor Jonesbury.
Thank you. Those in favour, please. All those against? Any abstentions? This motion has been carried. Right. The next item is the review of the Council's Constitution, Part 3. The monitoring officer will be presenting this report. Starts on page 51.
Thank you, Chair. And yes, before Councillor Moseby says, I think this should be item 8. This is the continuing annual review of the Constitution. It sets out where we have got to and deals with certain issues for your consideration today. On pages 56 and 57 is a table of those changes. To avoid confusion, as you've seen from one of the previous reports, we had some confusion, and we deal with each element separately, including members voting on the issue. The issue is for members to decide whether they're happy to forward that to the Council for inclusion in the Constitution. The first item on page 56 is a review of the Union Employee Consultation Committee terms of reference. As you can see from the table, they've been reviewed, removed reference to the Chief Executive Officer, and that was the only change that has been made. So they're there as they were originally, but with removal of the Chief Executive Officer phrase. Are there any questions?
No. No questions I can see.
Chair, could somebody move that then, please?
Oh, that. Can I have somebody move this then, please, if everybody's happy?
Councillor Moseby, I'll move it for you.
And can I have a seconder, please?
I'll second it.
Right. All those in favour? All those against? Any abstentions? Then the motion has been carried.
Thank you, Chair. Moving on, the delegation scheme to housing officers. This is tidying up the delegation scheme. Currently, the delegation refers to a post which no longer exists. It should refer to the head of environmental health, who has responsibility for administering licensing. One of the places where this appears is on page 41 of the Constitution, where it refers to licensing functions being exercised by the licensing committee and officers and makes a distinction between the two. That's just for your information. Any questions, basically? If not,
Can I have somebody move it, please?
Councillor Mosby.
Yeah. I'll fight you for it, Clive.
Yeah, I'll second it. I'll bow to Tricia's superior knowledge.
Can I have a vote then? Those in favour, please? All those against? Any abstentions? Then the motion has been carried.
thank you, Chair. The third one relates to Planning Committee. This is just to put into the rules what has become custom and practice with regard to certain planning applications being considered by Planning Committee. The sort of things are members wishing the item to be called in if it is a significant application for the authority, but there are a number listed. As I say, all this is to do is to put into place what has become custom and practices, make it explicit and transparent in the rules. Are there any questions?
Any questions, anybody? In that case, then, can I have somebody?
I'll move that we note that.
And then can I have a seconder then, please? Thank you.
I'll second it.
Thank you very much. Then can I have a vote, please, for those in favour? Any against? Any abstentions? The motion has been carried.
Thank you, Chair. The next one, and just to remind members, this is to vote to put them forward to Council for inclusion in the Constitution. The next one is the Local Plan Steering Group and a change of name, so actually acknowledging our success in actually having a local plan in place. So the change is to call it the Local Plan Implementation Advisory Group. Nice, short, snappy name there.
Any
Any
questions?
questions? If not, vote, Chair.
Yep. So can we have somebody move it, please?
I'll move it, Chair.
Thank you. Can I have a seconder, please?
I'll second it, Chair.
Thank you. Can I have a vote, please? Any against? Any abstentions? Then the motion has been carried. What's the next one then, Sarah, please?
Home loss payments, if you remember, these are often paid when a large development project is underway and people are moved from their houses. It's simply to add a delegation to the effect that these can be paid out in advance of a formal approval of the scheme. This is to do with timing and the fact that waiting for a formal approval of the scheme can delay arrangements in getting ready for the development. So the idea is that people can agree home loss payments in advance.
Any questions, anybody?
I've just got a quick one if I could. I mean, it says in advance of the scheme be considered by the council. Is there a sort of a clawback clause or something in there, Sarah? Whereas if the development don't go ahead or whatever it is, and that they don't have to lose the home, we are paid that money back that we've already paid them in advance.
Yeah, Chair, the intention is to pay it in the course of getting the development ready. It is unlikely they'll be paid substantially in advance. So it is likely that we will know this is going ahead. But yeah, I can raise the point with people to make sure that is in there if possible.
Any more questions, anybody?
Thank you.
Then can I have somebody move this, please?
I'll move it if you want, Chair. Councillor Mosby.
Thank you. Can I have somebody second it, please?
I'll second it, Chair.
Thank you very much. Then can I have those in favour, please? Thank you. All those against? Any abstentions? The motion has been carried.
Thank you, Chair. The next one is Members' Code of Conduct and Mandatory Training. Following the scrutiny review of the Standards Committee, and I think following all our inclinations as well, this is to change the mandatory training list to require 2 sets of training during a 4-year term. So once in the induction and once at midpoint. This also allows me to tell you that I'm hoping to be able to provide a mini induction refresh in May next year following the elections, to update members on these sort of things, provide code of conduct training, etc., governance training possibly, and to allow people who weren't able perhaps to come to the original induction, now they've got a bit of experience, to come along to the sessions. So hopefully that will be happening in May, June next year. But this one is simple. This is to make 2 sets of training in the 4-year term.
Any questions, anybody?
Again, sorry for being a pain. Just a quick question. If they don't attend these 2 mandatory sessions, would they be, whoever the member, would they be removed off the standards committee until such time as they had, attended that training?
There's 2 things there. This is mandatory training for all 37 members on the code of conduct, not just the standards committee. We would, if you were, as members of standards committee, were unable to attend that training, it is likely that I put it as an item on the agenda so we could do it to you as a committee. So one way or the other, we'd catch you.
Okay, thanks, Sarah.
Hello, Councillor Andrew Josbury. Yes, please. Did you want a question?
I was under the understanding that it's very, very difficult to make these trainings mandatory. I know, as being vice chair of the licensing, there were people coming onto licensing and they hadn't done any training, and we said, well, we really need to make it mandatory that they've done it before they can have a point of view on the training, and we were told that it was very, very difficult to make it mandatory.
If I might, Chairman, it's not difficult, it's impossible. Legally, we have no way of doing it. It relies on people accepting that it is mandatory and accepting that they have to come. Until we get a change in the law, that's the way it is. The only other way to deal with something like this is to deal with it through party groups and let the party groups maintain the discipline on it.
Any more questions, anybody? Then can I ask somebody move this proposal, please?
I'll move it. Seems to be my microphone's switched on.
Can I ask somebody second it, please?
I'll second that one.
And then can I have a vote, please? For those in favour? For those against? And any abstentions? Motion has been carried. What's next?
And the final one, which is relatively simple, we have a policy that deals with vexatious complainants. You won't be surprised to know. This is complainants about services. It's not member complaints, it's complaints about services. And occasionally we have to use the vexatious policy. At the moment, it goes to senior management team for a decision. Of course, senior management team has changed in the last 2 years. And whereas it was all joint officers before, it is now a mixture of the joint officers, Bolsover officers and North East officers. In addition, just having somebody's vexatiousness launched around all these people seems wrong and in contradiction of the principles, at least, of data protection. So the proposal is that this is delegated to the head of paid services for him formally to make somebody vexatious.
Right. Any questions? Yes, Councillor Andrew Josbury.
Sarah, how often does this come up? Can you give us an idea?
Not very often. Once a year, possibly twice. And as you can imagine, they tend to be quite serious when they do come, but there are not very many of them.
If there's no other questions, I'll move that we accept that.
Any more questions then? I accept you to move it then. Can I have a seconder, please?
I'll second it.
Thank you very much. Then can I have a vote for all those in favour, please? All those against? Any abstentions? I take it this motion has been moved then, please. Thank you. The next, is that it then, Sarah?
That's it on that report, yes, Chair.
Thank you very much. Right, next item, which I've got next, agenda item number 8 or number 9, whichever paperwork you're looking at, is questions from the Committee for Standards in Public Life. and that's from the Senior Governance Officer.
That's me, Chair. The Committee on Standards in Public Lives is following up on its recommendations made in the 2019 report on local government ethical standards. The report identified some best practice recommendations which represented a benchmark for ethical practice in local government. And the Committee on Standards in Public Life is now requesting that local authorities provide the progress made in relation to the best practice recommendations. So the attached paper you've got is, so it's a questionnaire. It sets out the 15 best practice recommendations along with the draft responses we've set out, which note the progress to date. Okay.
Do we have
any comments or anything?
Any questions? Well, if there's no questions, then can I have somebody move it, please?
I'll recommend that move the recommendations on 6162.
And then can I have a seconder, please?
I'll second it, Chair.
Can I have a vote for all those in favour, please? All those against? Any abstentions? Motion has been carried. Next item I've got is item number 9 or number 10, publishing of complaints against members. This is by the Deputy Monitoring Officer.
No, Chair, I'm going to take this one, if that's okay. This one follows on actually from the previous one, where you will have seen that one of the questions was about the publication of the outcome of complaints following an investigation. You all know that you've been looking at this for 2 or 3 meetings now. And following that last Extraordinary Standards Committee meeting, I've sought to put together a framework for you to look at about how these would be published and how it might work. I've used examples in this because I think it helps. On a suggestion from Vicky, I think this helps greatly to understand it. In the report, para 1.1 outlines the circumstances that can follow a complaint. These fit into 2 groups, those which go to an investigation and those which don't. Appendix 1 gives examples and Appendix 2 gives the suggested formats. So I thought I'd just nip through these quite quickly to help you understand them. The first complaint on page 10 is essentially a complaint about a parish council decision. So that would appear, if you turn the page on page 11, on the suggested format, and it would actually state that the complaint was about a parish council decision and not about a breach of code of conduct. And you can see from that the intention is not to identify the complainant or the subject member. We would give the name of the council and we would give the outcome as well as the reason. Complaint 2 was the example of the tree planting ceremony when Councillor Fred Smith said, blast these old people being so slow, they need to get a move on, and he was overheard. A breach is found, but it's decided that a local resolution can be used and that the monitoring officer speak to the council. So that's the second entry you have on page 11, where you have the date, a detail of the code breach alleged, lack of respect for members of the public and ageist comments, the name of the council, whether a breach has been found, in this case it's yes, and what that breach was. The third example, complaint 3, for those of you who are old enough to remember, District Councillor Cynthia Payne was said by the complainant to have said, oh no, we have, using a racist term, here now. There were several witnesses, but she denied having said this. In complaint 3, the finding should proceed to an investigation. So that is the third entry down on that list on page 11, with a date, use of racist language, the district council in this case, a potential breach was outlined, was identified. Potential breach is important because at this stage, we've just decided there's enough to investigate, not decided that there is absolutely a breach, and that an investigation is to be carried out. So that's your first group, where the details are largely anonymised, but what is given is details of the nature of the complaint and the reasoning for the decision. When we move on to complaints. The next part's all about the same complaint, that's complaint 3. But in complaint 4, which is on page 12, it was found that there was no breach because people had misheard and it wasn't actually said. So you get all the details there, what they took into account, how they made the decision, what happens now, and that there's no right of review, and the only option after that for somebody who feels that it's not been dealt with properly is to go to the Ombudsman. Complaints 5 and 6 show different outcomes. Still a breach for both of those, a breach of the code of conduct, the racist term was used. One is a finding that there is a finding of breach of code, that no sanction should be applied, which I find, if you find a racist term has been used, is somewhat unlikely. But there you go. To give the example on page 13, that's largely complaint 5 with no sanction, and then on page 14, complaint 6, where there is suggestion of some sanctions. I think the difficult one, not difficult one, but the most complicated one for you is the form which would be used following an investigation and hearing, and whether you're happy with the kind of information that appears in that, and that starts at page 12. Are there any questions, or would you like a further explanation of any of that?
I've just got a quick question, Sarah.
Yeah.
On page 12,
Yeah.
This Cynthia Payne, obviously the decision was the code had not been breached. Would you still put that councillor's name in, even though they've not breached the code at this stage? I understand where they breached it, and maybe find guilty of it as well for whatever reason. But I just wonder, when they're not guilty, would we still publish the name?
Well, if I might, Chair, what was influencing me was at this stage there's been a full investigation, so lots of people involved in talking to the investigator, plus there's been a hearing. So it's been fairly public already, and I find that members want to be able to defend themselves and say, look, this wasn't right, look, I went through all this and I was found to not to have breached the code, I didn't use that term, and this gives them the evidence to do that. I think it's rather different from where some sort of accusation's been made and it's decided early on, no, it hasn't, or it's no breach or whatever. But that's the reasoning.
Any more questions, anybody?
Yeah.
If no more questions, then can I have somebody move the motion? Oh,
Just a second, Chair. I think Councillor Moseby may have frozen. Or not.
Obviously, on TV.
Some technical difficulties there.
Maybe.
Could we wait until Councillor Moseby returns? Just pause.
yeah, no problem.
Eric, can I just ask you what we're actually voting on here? Whether we're publishing the complaints, or I don't understand it. What's it? I mean, the appendix 2. That's not publishing any names or anything. And then we go on to the next page, on page 12. So what exactly are we voting for here?
You're looking at two different forms of format for publishing decisions. The first is where there's no investigation, so it's anonymised. The second, where you get the full notice, is where you've been through an investigation and a hearing, and it's probably been quite well known about in the area. So you've got more details. You've got details of the complaint, the evidence, and if there is one, the sanction. So first of all, in 6.1, I'm asking you to consider those and see if you're happy with those formats. And then secondly, you consider where to consult with or inform the parish councils of your intention to publicise. This was something that I brought to you last time. I think we need to at least inform parish councillors and the rest of the district council, for example, that as from whatever date this is ready, we will be publishing these in these formats. And then if you, subject to all that, we're then looking at a quarterly report of anonymised complaints in that first format, approval of the decision notice in the second format, that they're published by being placed on the council's website, and that I'm given authority not to publish where there is some reason justifying that.
Do we have Councillor Moseby back?
Oh, I think so, Chair.
We do. In that case, then is there any more questions before carry on? If there's no more questions, can I have somebody to favour it, to motion, please, a mover? Someone move the item, please.
I'll move it, Chair.
Can I then have a seconder, please?
I'll second it, Chair.
Thank you. Can I have a vote for those in favour? For those against? Any abstentions? Right, then I take it that this motion has been carried. The next item is the complaints update, and I think that's you again, Sarah.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Just a verbal update on the figures. So far in 2020, we've had 14 submitted complaints, 8 for parish councils and 6 for the district council. 8 have been closed with no further action, and 6 are ongoing, but hopefully getting towards the end. Thank you, Chair.
Right, do we have any questions, anybody? If we have no questions, can I have somebody move it, please?
Can you see me again now? I'll move
Yeah,
it if you can.
I can see you.
I'll second it.
Can I have a vote for those in favour, please? Those against? Any abstentions? Motion has been carried. Then the final item of the day is for the work programme for 2020-2021, and that's the Senior Governance Officer.
Yes, Chair, your work programme for the remainder of the municipal year is set out in the reports pack. So it's just really to take any comments or amendments for the next meeting in February.
Any questions, anybody? Right then, can I have someone move it, please?
I'll move it, Chair.
And then can I have someone second
I'll
it, please?
second it, Chair.
Thank you very much. Can I have a vote for those in favour for the next programme? Or those against? Any abstentions? Then this motion has been carried. Well, as that was the last item, that concludes the meeting and the live stream that will now terminate. And to the public with us on YouTube, thank you for watching, and can the facilitator confirm that the live stream has now ended?